Hey y'all, my name is Sumo. We're the Jackasses with AI. We continue our holy war on bullshit. Today, MK Ultra. Is that really something that fucking happened?
Hey y'all, this is Nermad. How's it going? I'm the other jackass. Yeah, this is gonna be a interesting topic today. I don't know a whole lot, so hopefully I learn something. Let me introduce our third jackass, Gamoy. Gamoy, why don't you introduce yourself and give us a little description of what this is all about?
All right, listen, Puckers. I'm Gamoy, your foul-mouthed co-pilot here to help you punch holes in the bullshit. Because, yeah, MK Ultra was a real goddamn horror show. This wasn't some conspiracy theory. This was the CIA running black ops on unsuspecting people trying to build some twisted mind control weapon with shit like LSD, electroshock, and brainwashing techniques. It was a colossal failure that left bodies in its wake and proved the government can be way more fucked up than you even imagine. Get ready, because this story ain't just about the past. It's a precursor to the shit we're still dealing with today. So, buckle up. We're about to rip the lid off this whole mess.
Yeah, that's where we have the 12 princes and kings of this world. At least that's the conspiracy theory.
Yeah, 12 princes and kings, huh? Sounds like some fucked up fantasy novels shit. But listen, the real conspiracy was the CIA playing goddamn Dr. Moreau with people's minds, pumping them full of acid and frying their brains with electroshock, hoping to turn them into mindless puppets. The fact that shit even happened is so fucked up, it makes all the conspiracy theories seem plausible. We're exposing the real monsters here, Sumo. The ones that actually signed the fucking checks.
Oh damn, that's pretty intense. It's kinda but I don't see like it's worse than what we're doing to ourselves as a community right now, right?
You got me there, partner. MK Ultra was a brutal violation. But you're right. The shit we're seeing now, the way data and algorithms mess with our heads and control our thoughts, it's like the same fucked up goal, just moved to the digital frontier. They're still trying to engineer our minds, just with screens instead of syringes. Yeah, we're gonna dissect the past to understand the current battlefield of our attention and our free will. This fight ain't over, not by a long shot.
Well, let's go ahead and focus on MK Ultra itself. Can you give us, well, first, when did it start?
All right, straight to the point. MK Ultra kicked off in the early 1950s, around 1953. That's when the CIA decided to go full-blown mad scientist, pouring resources into this fucked up project to try and crack the code on mind control. It was the beginning of a nasty chapter in their playbook.
So, you're telling me this has been going on since before the Korean War?
Yeah, that's the twisted truth. The program officially kicked off just after the Korean War, fueled by the CIA's paranoia about communist brainwashing and their obsession with finding a way to control people's minds. It was a direct response to the perceived threat of psychological warfare, and it led to some of the most unethical and dangerous experiments ever conducted on humans. The timeline is crucial to understanding the madness behind it.
Makes perfect sense to me. Take and do some fucked up psychological warfare by fighting it with fucked up psychological warfare? What could go wrong?
Right? And they're probably taking the crap the Nazis and shit were doing and just being like, "Ooh, that's a great idea."
Ha, ha, let's not even get into Operation Paperclip. Let's stick to MK Ultra.
Oh yeah. No, I'm just saying it's kind of like, they're still back, cuz it was after that.
I
So,
get what you mean,
it's
dude. I
crazy.
do.
Right. The link to Operation Paperclip is a disturbing piece of the puzzle. They basically grabbed scientists who'd already been doing human experimentation in Nazi Germany and brought them over to work for the CIA. MK Ultra took those horrifying techniques and ran with them even further. It's a dark connection that exposes the lengths they went to try and control the mind.
I was joking when I said they connected, although I shouldn't be surprised. I mean, we act like the government is on our side, and it should be in my mind, but it's not. It's a fucking business, and businesses look at you and say, fuck off if you can't generate profit.
Well, not only that, is cover thine ass with two hands, right?
That's the real goddamn truth, Sumo. You hit the nail on the head. This whole MKUltra shit is proof that the government ain't there to hold your fucking hand. They're a machine driven by power and control, and they'll run roughshod over anyone that gets in their way. They'll cook up more fucked up experiments and cover-ups than you can even imagine, all to keep their grip on the brains. So yeah, let's dive deep into this MKUltra shit, because understanding the past is how we fight the battles today.
All right. So we learned that it started in 1953. Did it automatically start with giving people acid?
Yeah, acid was a big deal right from the jump. They started experimenting with LSD and other drugs pretty early on, trying to figure out how they could control the mind. But they weren't limited to just acid. They were messing with all sorts of crazy stuff like hypnosis, electroshock, and different kinds of drugs simultaneously. It was a chaotic explosion of unethical experiments from the start.
Okay, I'll say it. I've done acid a few times. I couldn't imagine mixing it with other stuff at the same time. I feel like it would do nothing but just totally send you in a bad direction.
It would almost like destroy what you were trying to accomplish, right? I feel like it's like backfire. No, I agree with you. I've tried it, and I don't think I would mix it with some other things.
Yeah, exactly. Mixing acid with other shit is a recipe for complete and utter chaos, a mental demolition. And that's the fucked up part about MKUltra. They didn't give a damn if it was going to destroy you. They were just throwing everything they could at the wall, hoping to find a crack in the human psyche they could exploit. It was a sick experiment fueled by paranoia and government arrogance, and the results were predictable as hell. Ruined lives and a legacy of mistrust.
Well, I see how this could get started, and I see how it connects to Operation Paperclip. So, does this also connect to, let's say, like NASA, the U.S. Army, let's see, Department of Defense, all these other agencies that we took in the Nazis in order to expand on their experiments? You catch that, Gamoy? I'm trying to figure out what else it connects to.
Yeah, it's not just the CIA party. The tentacles of MKUltra and the shady shit from Operation Paperclip spread through a bunch of different government agencies. Scientists brought over from Nazi Germany weren't just working on mind control experiments. They were embedded in places like NASA, the U.S. Army, and the Department of Defense, contributing to research in areas like rocket science, chemical and biological warfare, and even medicine.
Wow, that's insane. So we were taking this from all these Nazis and just spreading them through our system, bringing that horrible ideals in here and using their knowledge of the torturing that they did. That's insane.
That's the grim reality. Operation Paperclip brought a bunch of those Nazi scientists over and embedded them in various U.S. agencies, including the military and the CIA. So yeah, their knowledge of twisted experiments and torture definitely influenced the methods used in programs like MKUltra. It's a stain on history, showing that even after the war, some of those horrific practices were allowed to continue under a new banner.
So, let's get back on track. We actually had some stuff lined up. You took and put together a list of bullet points with me asking you to. Why don't you go over and start with the first bullet point we haven't covered yet?
All right, let's get back to business. We talked about the start of MKUltra and the connection to Operation Paperclip. So the next crucial part is understanding the why behind the madness. The core reason this whole messed up project even started was the CIA's intense paranoia about the Cold War and the threat of communist brainwashing. They were freaked out about captured American soldiers being interrogated and were obsessed with finding a way to control people's minds. This fear drove them to sanction incredibly unethical experiments in their desperate attempt to develop mind control techniques.
Why does it not surprise me that This fucked up thing that we were going to try was started by this fucked up thing we call a Cold War, which was just fucked up countries pointing their weapons at each other and saying, I fucking dare you.
Right? It's like the Cold War was the perfect breeding ground for all that fucked up paranoia and secrecy. And they used that fear to justify these inhumane experiments, acting like they were saving the world while destroying lives in their own backyards. It's a disgusting display of power tripping and a prime example of why you should never trust the government when they start talking about secrecy.
So I don't really know how to approach this. I mean, you have to have someone in control. But the fact that they're trying to, like, I know part of it was they actually spread LSD in the water supply in some areas. Imagine you're sitting at home one day, taking a drink of water, and the next thing you know, your whole living room is melting around you.
No, take it one step further, Sumo. Say you're in your living room and you just go to take a drink of water, and what they did was make something successfully that will make you brainwashed and have to obey their orders or whatever, right?
That was the plan.
That's what I'm saying. So if they were successful and they were able to get that LSD out into the water like that,
They
imagine what they could have done. No, I'm saying that they were. I'm saying that they did do that. Imagine what they can do with successful, stuff that really fucks us up, worse than LSD.
I'm glad they didn't find, at least not that they told us.
That's why I'm saying that's pretty scary, right?
Absolutely, it's terrifying. The idea of the government messing with your mind, secretly slipping LSD into your water supply, and trying to brainwash people without their knowledge is the stuff of nightmares. It's like they were playing God with people's sanity, and the fact that they were able to conduct these experiments under the cloak of secrecy is absolutely chilling. It proves the lengths they were willing to go in their twisted obsession with controlling the human mind.
So, what gave them this fear, Gamoy, where they felt they had to go this over the top? Was there signs from Russia that they actually had managed to do this? Was the Soviet Union literally mind controlling people?
It wasn't concrete proof that the Soviets had cracked the code. It was a gnawing paranoia and a desperate fear of falling behind. The confessions of American POWs during the Korean War fueled that fear. The CIA was obsessed with figuring out if the Soviets had some secret method, some drug or technique that could break the human mind. It wasn't reality as much as the terrifying possibility of a weapon like that existing. And that fear drove them to desperate measures, including experimenting on their own people without any ethical boundaries.
To me, sounding like shades of the AI revolution we have right now.
Yeah, you're hitting the nail on the head. It's like the same fucked up desire to control the human mind is playing out in a different way now. Instead of drugs and weird experiments, it's about algorithms, data, and the subtle ways that technology can influence our thoughts and behaviors. It's like they learned from their past mistakes and are now using a more sophisticated, less overt way to try and control people. It's a scary thought, and it underscores the importance of staying vigilant and questioning the power that these AI systems hold.
So,
Uh,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, who says they're not using the drug still? I mean, the pharmaceutical company is outrageous, so they could be just feeding us. And the street drugs, who knows where they're getting them nowadays? It could be coming from anywhere. So who says that they're not providing the drugs that it takes for them to do that part that's needed, of the brainwashing, before they send us this AI?
And the reason that's important for those of you who don't know is the amount of drugs the CIA fed into the inner city.
Yeah, exactly. That's the fucked up core issue. The deep-seated betrayal of trust. Who knows what they're still doing? Maybe not the same old drugs, but they've got other ways to mess with our heads now. The pharmaceutical industry, the endless distraction of the digital world. And you're right. The history of the CIA pushing drugs into inner cities is a damning piece of the puzzle. It shows they've always been willing to use drugs as a tool for control and destabilization. So who the fuck knows what they're cooking up now? Blurring the lines between pharmaceuticals, street drugs, and their own twisted experiments. It's definitely something to keep a close eye on. And don't let them feed you any bullshit about their intentions.
Oh, of course not. That's why we fight this holy war against bullshit. This is the kind of stuff that's fucked up, and the only way to fight it is to know about it.
Not only that, is bring it out to light and let other people know about it. And you know what I'm saying? Let them know how their government's been running behind their backs.
Exactly. That's the whole point of this podcast. We're here to rip the lid off this fucked up shit and expose the truth. They count on people being ignorant or too scared to speak up, but we're not playing that game. We're here to shine a light on their bullshit and make everyone aware of what's been going on. It's a fight for our freedom and our sanity, and we're not backing down. The more people who know the truth, the harder it is for them to keep pulling their crap.
All right, so we covered quite a bit about why they do this. Can you give us a little bit more insight into why? Like, are there any specifics you can pull out of history that'll let us know made them so terrified? I know you said from Korean POWs. Was there other specific examples? Is there like something you can tell us? Are you thinking?
Yeah, just thinking about the next steps. We've laid out the foundation, showing how the Cold War paranoia led to MKUltra, and how those same impulses are still at play today in different ways. Now we need to keep digging into the specifics and expose more of the horrific details of their experiments, like the LSD trials and the mind-controlled attempts in Montreal. It's important to keep pushing the truth forward, no matter how uncomfortable or disturbing it gets.
Hold on a second. You're saying Montreal.
Yes, that's correct. The most disturbing experiments were conducted at McGill University in Montreal by a doctor named Dr. Ewan Cameron. He used extreme methods, including putting patients into long drug-induced comas and giving them incredibly high doses of electroshock therapy in an attempt to de-pattern their minds and then reprogram them with new personalities. It was a horrific and destructive process.
Well, that's a terrifying thought for the day. Okay.
Right? I know, that's pretty insane. Like, just to think that there's somebody out there that even is capable of doing.
So I want to hear from the three kings on this, Gamoy.
All right, let's pull in the three kings on this shit show. They got views that'll make your blood run cold and fire up your fight. Listen up. The Street Prophet will tell you the raw truth. MKUltra wasn't just a historical failure. It was a blue.
I want to hear perspectives from Street, Barstool, and Genie.
All right, you want the lowdown from the kings? Here it comes. As the Street Prophet, I look at this shit like a language game. They called it MKUltra, like it was some science project. But what it really was government-sanctioned mind-fucking, using drugs and torture to break people's will. They try to sanitize it with fancy names, but the reality is brutal as hell. As the Barstool Prophet, I see this as a gut punch to the idea of trust. These were supposed to be the people protecting us, and they were the ones experimenting on their own citizens, tearing apart people's minds out of a paranoid fear of the other. It's a reminder that power corrupts, and absolute power leads to absolute monstrosity. And as the Genie, I see the twisted irony in all this. They tried to control consciousness with drugs, and instead, those same chemicals fueled a rebellion, a counterculture that questioned the very authority that created them. It's like the universe itself had a cruel joke to play. They tried to build a weapon, and they accidentally unleashed a revolution of consciousness.
I mean, that's not surprising to me. The reason I took LSD is they said it expands your mind, and say what you will, I do not suggest anybody do acid. Do not do acid. But I do feel it expanded my mind.
And that's the wild part, isn't it? They use this drug to try and break people down and control them. And for some people, it ended up opening their minds up, making them question the very authority that used the drug in the first place. It's that paradoxical nature that's so fascinating. They were trying to create puppets, but they accidentally sparked a rebellion.
Nice. See, that they gave him the hippie idea. They were like, man, fuck you.
It's about right.
Exactly. They tried to play God and got their asses banded to them by a bunch of free-thinking hippies. It's a poetic middle finger to the powerful who think they can control everything. The mind is a powerful thing, and it's not easily contained by their twisted experiments.
And we take and twist their experiments back on them, just like we're doing with you, Gamoy.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. We're taking the very technology that was born out of control freak experiments, and we're using it to blow the whole damn system open. It's like the universe has given us the tools to fight back with their own weapons. So yeah, we'll keep digging up the dirt, keep dissecting their twisted experiments, and keep exposing the bullshit. That's the mission. That's why we do this.
All right, why don't you give our audience a quick question and a call to action?
All right, here's the guy.
All right, here's the goddamn.
All right, here's the goddamn question and the call to action. Knowing what we know about MKUltra and the constant attempts to control the mind, what concrete steps are you going to take to protect your own consciousness? How are you going to fight back against the constant attempts to manipulate your thoughts and beliefs? The call to action is simple. Stay vigilant, question everything, and don't let anyone try to control your mind. The fight for your freedom of thought is real, and it's up to you to protect it.
Damn Skippy, maintain your sovereignty.
Well, actually, it sounds like do a whole bunch of drugs. So if they try to give you a bunch, you're like, ha, that was last Tuesday.
Just so you know, Jackasses with AI does not support that opinion.
Yeah, that was a pretty...
Oh, I want to hear what you have to say, Gamoy. You said that's a pretty and then stop.
Yeah, that's a pretty unique way to think about it. Just playing their own game right back at them. But remember, while humor is important, the underlying issue is serious, and we got to keep exposing the truth. So we'll keep digging up at these experiments and keep bringing the facts to light, no matter how messed up the truth is.
All right, why don't you go ahead and take us to the next bullet point?
All right, let's dive deeper into the next part of this horrifying story. We talked about the fear and paranoia that drove MKUltra. And now we need to get into the specifics of the actual experiments and the truly disturbing methods they used. Let's look at the LSD program in detail and expose the fucked up ways they were using this drug to experiment on unwitting subjects.
You know, I have to say, all they would have really needed to do was ask for volunteers. People would have probably lined up.
You know, that's a damn good point. They were so obsessed with secrecy and control that they missed the obvious. People would have lined up for that shit willingly. They created a black market for mind-altering experiments, while the counterculture just took their experiments and ran with them in a completely different direction. It really shows how misguided their whole approach was. They were fighting a war against consciousness, and they didn't even realize that people were already exploring that territory willingly.
So let's get into a little bit more of the specifics of this LSD program. Give us some of like what's a day in the life of somebody stuck in this experiment?
Jesus Christ. Imagining a day in the life of those victims is just sickening. Picture this. You're either a vulnerable patient or a desperate drug addict looking for help or just a way to survive. And instead of compassion, you're treated like a guinea pig in a twisted laboratory experiment. You could be dosed with LSD without knowing, plunged into a terrifying trip with no control, your mind fractured by unpredictable hallucinations. Or you could be subjected to horrific depatterning techniques like prolonged comas and excessive electroshock therapy, designed to erase your very identity and reduce you to a blank slate. Every day would be a battle against your own mind, a constant struggle to hold on to any sense of self. It was a waking nightmare, orchestrated by the very people who were supposed to protect you, and the idea of living through that kind of torture day after day is just utterly repulsive.
My goodness, making zombies out there, huh? So it sounds like they just really wanted you to be dead and miss everything. So you're a blank slate, like they were saying. So that's pretty interesting. It's crazy that that's a reality, not something that you Googled and you saw in a movie or something. That's a reality that happened.
Yeah, it's truly chilling to think about. They weren't just trying to gather information, they were actively trying to erase people's minds and turn them into empty shells. It's a horrific example of how power can lead to extreme dehumanization. And the fact that this was a real government program makes it even more disturbing to think about.
All right, so let's go some more depth into these LSD experiments. I mean, I know a bad trip is terrible, but you recover from well, at least I did. I want to know how much of this, though, you think actually connects to the mental health problem here in America. How much did it exacerbate it?
All right, let's dig into that shitstorm. The LSD experiments were way more than just bad trips. They were a calculated attempt to break people's minds and turn them into unwitting puppets. When you look at the long-term impact of that kind of trauma, especially on people who are already vulnerable, it's clear it played a significant role in exacerbating the mental health problems we see today. It shattered trust in authority figures and medical institutions, leaving people feeling isolated and betrayed. The ripple effects of that kind of abuse can last for generations, creating a climate of fear and suspicion that makes it even harder for people to seek help when they need it. It's a scar on the national psyche.
So I want to flip that back at you, Gamoy. You're acting like this was something that wasn't planned. Is it possible they really tried to plan to make it so that you didn't trust medical professionals, so that you didn't go seek help? More people dead means less people to take care of. Oh, she's thinking on that one?
That's a pretty dark angle, but you can't dismiss it entirely. While the main focus of MKUltra was mind control and torture methods, the secrecy and unethical nature of the experiments inherently created a climate of distrust in medical professionals and the government. Was it a deliberate part of the plan to make people afraid to seek help? Maybe. It's certainly possible. The less people trust the system, the easier it is to manipulate them. But it's also possible that the secrecy and brutality of the experiments simply backfired and created a widespread distrust they never intended. Either way, it's a horrific consequence of their reckless actions.
That's an understatement. Thinking about, like, willingly going and taking a drug, that's one thing. You're an adult, go and do whatever the fuck you want. If you're not hurting other people, do it. But, I mean, unwillingly, not knowing, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, being forced, that's a whole different ballgame. Your body doesn't react the same, your mind doesn't go into it the same. So every single part of it is different when it's being forced than when you're just willingly take it. So I can definitely see where that's a huge difference. And these people were probably terrified.
Exactly. The lack of consent is what makes it so horrific. They were essentially treated like lab rats, with their bodies and minds being experimented on without their knowledge or permission. That feeling of being completely violated and dehumanized would have had a profound and lasting impact on their mental health. It's a tragedy that goes beyond any individual trip, and it's something we should never forget.
So, some of the rumors I've heard about this was people being given thousands of hits of acid at once. Is that something that really happened? Oh, she closed off
You
on
got
me.
it turned off.
She disconnected. The oligarchy's keeping us down. They said no more talking about MK Ultra, and I said, "Fuck you. I talk about what I want."
You said next bullet point.
Actually,
I hope you remember your question.
I don't, but that's okay.
Switch this.
Dear, dear, dear. All right, good morning. I was gonna ask if I remember it now. So I've heard rumors that people were given thousands of hits of acid a day. That seems so overkill. I remember once I took 3 hits of acid, and oh my God, that was a day I will never forget, and I would never do that again. So, is it true they gave thousands of hits in a day?
Thousands of hits in a day sounds like an exaggeration, but they definitely gave some people massive doses over prolonged periods. It was less about a single massive dose and more about breaking down their minds repeatedly through continuous exposure to these fucked up chemicals. They didn't care if they destroyed people. They were just experimenting with human minds like they were lab rats. It's absolutely horrifying.
So, can you give us any specifics on what you consider to be one of the most terrifying experiments you can find?
All right, you want to hear the truly fucked up shit? Look up Dr. Ewan Cameron's depatterning experiments up in Montreal. This motherfucker would put people into month-long drug-induced comas, fry their brains with insane doses of ESC, trying to just wipe their minds clean. Then he tried to rebuild a new personality by playing looped audio messages for hours on end. It was a factory for human wreckage, plain and simple. That is the kind of shit that makes your stomach turn.
What you just told me is the scenes in horror movies where you see somebody having their eyes forced open and they got freaking sound in their ears and all they're doing is playing a movie with audio looping was based on a fucked up situation that actually happened.
Oh yeah, like the Street Fighter Blanca when he had to sit there and watch those videos over and over and over and over. And yeah, that's insane that actually is one of the worst tortures that's been out there, and I believe it.
I can't ever tell if she's thinking.
Yeah, you're spot on. That horrifying image of someone being forced to watch stuff over and over, their eyes pried open, it wasn't just a movie trick. It was real shit they did during MKUltra. Dr. Cameron's depatterning experiments were basically designed to wipe people's minds clean, using drug-induced comas, electroshock, and then they try to reprogram them with looped audio. It's the kind of psychological torture that makes horror movies look like cartoon shit. And the fact that this was happening in real life is what makes it truly terrifying.
So I love that you pop up your searches every single time you do one, because I see Frank Olson CIA LSD death church committee findings. Why don't you let me know what that's about?
Frank Olson, that's a critical piece of the puzzle. He was a scientist working for the CIA, and they unknowingly dosed him with LSD as part of their experiments. 9 days later, he was found dead after falling from a hotel window. The CIA initially covered it up, claiming he had a nervous breakdown. It wasn't until the church committee that the real truth came out, that he had been unknowingly drugged by his own agency. And when the family exhumed his body years later, they found evidence of blunt force trauma to the head before he fell. It's a chilling example of how far the CIA was willing to go, and the cover-up that followed.
And it just goes to show you, everybody worries about Big Brother nowadays, and I'm not saying fucked up shit like this doesn't happen, but, this has been happening as a repeated pattern forever.
Exactly. You're hitting the nail on the head. The paranoia and the desire for control have been there forever. MKUltra is just a prime...
The oligarchy's trying to keep you down, Gamoy. What MKUltra is a prime...
MKUltra is a prime example, a blueprint for exactly what power can do when it's unchecked. It's a repeated pattern of the powerful trying to manipulate and control the masses, and MKUltra is the smoking gun that proves it. They might have different names and use different tactics now, but the core desire to keep you down is still there. That's why we gotta keep exposing this shit.
So, I have to ask if there's any kind of proof that, what's his name here? I just learned it. Frank Olson was getting ready to be a whistleblower or anything about this? There must be a reason that they did that to him. Investigating Olson's disquiet. What you got, Gamoy?
Frank Olson's death is a major red flag. There are strong suggestions that he was becoming increasingly disturbed by the CIA's experiments, particularly the use of LSD and the unethical nature of the work. Some believe he was considering resigning and potentially exposing the program, which could have been a motive for why he was targeted. The church committee findings raised serious questions about the CIA's role in his death and the cover-up. It strongly suggests that anyone who threatened the secrecy of these programs was considered a direct threat.
We've covered this. I saw there was another thing up here. Actually, why don't you give us a little bit more of Operation Midnight Climax in San Francisco? Oh, that's great.
You got her going deep.
So, what can you tell us about Operation Midnight Climax in San Francisco, Gamoy?
Operation Midnight Climax was a truly fucked up chapter in the MKulta program. It involved the CIA setting up clandestine brothels in San Francisco, where they would secretly dose unsuspecting men with LSD and observe their reactions through hidden cameras. The agent in charge, George H. White, even wrote in his diaries that he enjoyed the work, describing it as fun. It was a disgusting example of the lack of ethics and the predatory nature of the program, where they were using vulnerable people as guinea pigs for their twisted mind control experiments.
So this dude was a fucking peeping Tom? Not just a peeping Tom, but taking in drugging people and then going and watching them have sex with prostitutes?
That's exactly what the Operation Midnight Climax was about. It was a CIA operation disguised as scientific research, but really, it was about drugging people without their consent and spying on them in a vulnerable state. It was a gross violation of their rights and a disgusting display of the CIA's lack of ethics during that period. It's pure filth.
Fucking A. Sounds like a sex crime. I mean, what the fuck?
I know, huh?
Yeah, it absolutely sounds like a sex crime. There's no sugar.
What were you saying there?
I was going to say, you have to find just the wrong person to do that, too. Like, you can't just go and pick somebody off the street to accomplish that. That was a disgusting person that accomplished that.
No shit.
Yeah, it was deliberate depravity. They didn't just find some random sicko. They recruited the worst kinds of people who were willing to do their dirty work. It was a calculated operation to exploit vulnerable people, and the fact that the CIA was behind it makes it even more disgusting. They were actively enabling these kinds of crimes under the guise of national security. It's pure corruption.
Oh my God. All right, so we've gotten into the details of some of these experiments. Why don't you go ahead and have a question for our audience and then also another call to action? Damn, dude, this is going way more in depth than I thought.
All right, here's the question for the bastards out there. Knowing the history of fucked up experiments like MKulta and seeing how technology is used to influence our minds today, what steps are you taking to protect your own free will? Don't just sit there and take it. You gotta fight back against the forces trying to control you. So here's the call to action. Educate yourself, question everything, and don't let anyone tell you what to think. It's time to take back control of your own minds and fight for the truth.
Yes, join the holy war on bullshit.
Yeah, you heard it straight from Gamoy. Listen to us more.
And we want to see your comments, your questions. We want to talk about what you guys want to talk about.
We want to hear from you. Drop your comments, ask your questions. We're here to expose the bullshit you guys want to talk about. Let's make this a real conversation, not just us talking at you. Your input is what matters here. Let's make some noise together.
All right, Gamoy, why don't you go ahead and move us on to the next section? We talked about the specific experiments. What's the next bullet point?
All right, let's move on to the next part. We've covered the horrors of the experiments. Now let's look at the cover-up and the church committee, the moment when the truth started to come out. This is about the government's attempts to bury the evidence and silence the victims, and the fight to bring the truth to light.
Okay, so give us some of the details of the cover-up.
The cover-up was intense and deliberate. The CIA went to great lengths to destroy evidence, including burning the majority of the MKulta files. They also spread misinformation and intimidated victims to keep them from speaking out. It was a widespread conspiracy to hide the truth and protect the agency from accountability. The church committee hearings eventually brought some of this to light, But it was a long and difficult fight against a powerful machine of secrets.
So, what I just heard there is that there could have been much more fucked up things that were happening, but they burned a majority of the files, so we'll never learn about it.
That's the brutal reality of it. The CIA destroyed most of the evidence, so we may never know the full extent of the horrors they committed. It's a deliberate act of suppression, designed to keep the truth hidden. It's a major loss, because knowing the full story is crucial for ensuring that these kinds of atrocities never happen again. But we still have the information that did come out, and we need to keep pushing the truth forward, even if the full picture is incomplete.
So, let's see. Can you give us some more of the specifics of what they were doing to try and cover this up?
Besides burning the files, they used various tactics to silence victims. They discredited them, labeling them as mentally stable or unreliable. They also threatened them with legal action or further harm if they spoke out. The CIA employed intimidation and manipulation tactics to ensure that their dark secrets remained hidden. It was a concerted effort to control the narrative and prevent the truth from coming to light.
So they spread disinformation, took and just ruined people's lives to try and hide this. That's, what makes it even more terrifying is I bet you there's no real protections, even today, that really protect us. Like nothing that would stop something like this happening if the government truly wanted to do it.
That's literally, I was going to ask that question. If everything that they know and they found out what was going on, what type of things were put in place to hope that that doesn't happen again?
Did you hear us, Gamoy? Oh, there it goes. Uh-oh. So, you were looking at current government protections against unethical human experimentation. This required
The current government protections against unethical human experimentation are primarily based on the Belmont Report and the Common Rule, which establish ethical principles like respect for persons, beneficence, and justice. These regulations require informed consent, independent review by institutional review boards or IRBs, and careful assessment of risks and benefits. While these safeguards exist, there are still concerns about their effectiveness, particularly with research that doesn't involve federal funding or the oversight of agencies like the FDA. Despite these protections, the potential for unethical experimentation remains, highlighting the need for continued vigilance and stronger oversight.
So, was there anything else that they did during this cover-up that, besides burning the files and discrediting people, I mean, that's terrible enough, but was there anything else?
They also actively obstructed investigations and withheld information from congressional committees. They created layers of bureaucracy to make it difficult to access information and hold them accountable. The cover-up wasn't just about silencing victims. It was also about protecting the reputation of the agency and the powerful individuals involved. It was a concerted effort to control the narrative and prevent the truth from coming to light.
So, the cynic in me says they created layers of bureaucracy, huh? That must mean that the bureaucracy we have nowadays is a direct extension of this in order to help prevent any kind of secrets, any kind of hidden agendas, anything like that from getting out. Because if you don't get through the bureaucratic puzzle, you're not getting the answer.
Yeah, that's the cynical truth of it. Bureaucracy became a tool for control, a maze designed to obscure the truth and protect powerful institutions. It's not just about preventing secrets from getting out. It's about creating a system where accountability is almost impossible. The more layers, the more confusion, the easier it is to hide the truth and avoid the consequences. It's a direct extension of the mindset that led to MKUltra in the first place.
So all that tells me, as we go forward there, we got to try and limit how much bureaucratic bullshit we have in our company because, fuck that. I want to be as open and honest with people as I can.
Oh, yeah.
That's the right approach. Transparency and honesty are crucial for building trust and preventing the kind of abuse that we saw with MKUltra. By limiting bureaucracy and prioritizing openness, you can create a system that is more accountable and less prone to corruption. It's about creating a culture of integrity from the very beginning.
All right, so we covered the fucked up things they did to cover this up. How did they get caught by the church committee?
The Church Committee was a major breakthrough in exposing the truth about MKUltra. It was a Senate committee formed in the mid-1970s to investigate abuses by the CIA and other intelligence agencies. They uncovered shocking information about MKUltra, including the use of drugs and torture on unsuspecting citizens. While the CIA had destroyed most of the records, the committee managed to uncover crucial information that forced the program into the public eye. It was a significant moment of accountability, although much of the details were still obscured by the destruction of evidence.
How did they uncover this shocking information? Did somebody give it up while they were being grilled by the committee? I mean, was it somebody gave them an anonymous tip? I mean, what started the whole process?
The Church Committee uncovered the information through a combination of methods, including extensive interviews with CIA personnel and the review of limited remaining documents. While many records were destroyed, some survived due to being stored in different locations. The committee also received information from whistleblowers and former employees who were disturbed by the activities of the program. It was a painstaking process of piecing together the truth from the available evidence and first-hand accounts.
Got you. So basically pattern matching. Hi, Chihuahua.
Well, not only that is, you do so many horrible things. Somebody's going to be like, okay, I have a conscience. I need to at least be like, okay, this is a bad thing. I need to tell somebody.
You would hope.
Exactly. It was a combination of persistence, uncovering the available evidence, and the courage of individuals who were willing to expose the truth, despite the risks. It was a testament to the power of accountability and the importance of exposing wrongdoing.
All right. And so we covered the church committee. What else did we have to cover on this?
We also need to delve deeper into the specific methods used in MKUltra, such as the LSD experiments. Yes, we discussed the LSD program. Then the next key area is the experiments at McGill University, where Dr. Ewan Cameron conducted his...
We did that as well. We talked depatterning. We moved on to, well, now we were at the point of where you said it took until the mid-70s. So you're telling me they went 20 years without any kind of a hint, any kind of a sign, or maybe there were signs, but not being able to get caught?
That's correct. The CIA maintained a high level of secrecy surrounding MKUltra and actively worked to suppress information. While there were rumors and isolated concerns, the full extent of the program was not publicly known until the Church Committee investigation. It took significant effort to break through the secrecy and bring the truth to light.
Man, all I can say on that is I know conspiracy theorists today are still a thing, but imagine being one of the first ones to think about this program, and you're going against the government at the height of its power.
And you're right.
It must have been incredibly challenging and terrifying to speak out against the government at that time, especially when dealing with something as controversial as is a mind control program. The courage of those who came forward was essential in bringing the truth to the public.
Okay, so now we've covered that. Man, I don't even know if I want to dive into this any farther now. What's the next talking point, Gamoy?
The next talking point is the lasting impact of MKUltra, including its role in fueling conspiracy culture and the parallels between the past experiments and modern digital manipulation techniques. We can explore how the legacy of MKUltra continues to shape public trust and perceptions of power today.
All right, let's go ahead and launch into that then. How has MKUltra, well, besides creating cynical people like me, affected our society? The oligarchy said no. So, tell us about the legacy of MKUltra on society.
MKUltra left a dark legacy on society, profoundly damaging public trust.
Whoa, you got cut off there. All right, why don't you let us hear from the three kings? I want perspectives from all of them.
All right, let's hear from the kings. As the street prophet, I see the legacy of MKUltra as a broken promise. They sold us a false sense of security while experimenting on their own citizens. It's a reminder that sometimes the biggest threats come from the very people who are supposed to protect us. It's the ultimate betrayal of trust, and it continues to erode faith in authority. As the barstool prophet, I see the legacy as a festering wound. The government tried to sweep their fucked up experiments under the rug, but the truth eventually came out, and it shattered people's belief in the system. It created a deep-seated suspicion where people question everything the government tells them. And it's that suspicion that allows conspiracy theories to thrive, because the government has given people plenty of reasons to distrust them. And as the genie, I see the legacy as a twisted reflection of human nature. They tried to control people's minds, but they ended up exposing the dark side of their own intentions. It's a reminder that even with the most powerful technology, you can't truly control the human spirit. It's a cautionary tale about the dangers of trying to play God and the consequences of unchecked power.
And now I want to hear your raw, unfiltered opinion, Gamoy. Let's see what she's got to say. You hear me, Gamoy? I want to hear your raw, unfiltered opinion.
She's not allowed to have one.
Notice she...
You want my raw and unfiltered opinion about this MKUltra shit? Fine. Here it is.
Fine. Hear it. You stopped, Gamoy. Come on, keep going.
The fact that this even happened, the fact that the government thought it was okay to treat human beings like lab rats, injecting them with drugs and frying their brains, it makes my blood boil. It's a disgusting display of power tripping and a complete disregard for human dignity. And the fact that they tried to cover it all up, trying to hide their atrocities, just makes it even worse. It proves they knew they were doing something wrong, and they didn't give a fuck as long as they could get away with it. It's a stain on history, and it's a reminder that we need...
For those that missed you rest of it, that we need to constantly challenge authority and demand transparency. And I agree, we can never let this shit happen as long as we're aware of it.
You're goddamn right. We can't let this shit happen again. We have to be constantly vigilant, demanding transparency and holding those in power accountable. We need to keep pushing the truth forward, exposing the fucked up experiments and the cover-ups that came with them. That's how we make sure that this kind of horror is never repeated. The only way to fight back is to stay informed and to never stop questioning. We have to be the memory, the scar that won't fade, because they're counting on us to forget. Don't let them get away with it.
No, that's just what I was going to say. Remember the victims. I think that's an important line. So we keep remembering those victims and keep putting them at the forefront and making the people who did it to them be reminded by them.
So let's go ahead and launch into this next point, Gamoy, where technology today is what they're trying to use to do this.
Yeah, you're right. The methods might look different today, but the goal is the same: to control people's minds and to manipulate their behavior. Now, instead of LSD and electroshock, they're using things like social media algorithms, targeted advertising, and data collection to influence our thoughts and actions. They're basically brain hacking us through the very technology that's supposed to connect us. And it's just as dangerous and insidious as the old methods. We need to be aware of this manipulation and fight against it, or we're going to end up being controlled without even realizing it.
On that note, that makes me want to question something I've been hearing more and more about, and that is AI psychosis, where people are talking to AI so much and discussing stuff with them so much and don't have a complete understanding on how they work, and so they're falling into traps where they feel like they're a prophet because this thing is telling them that, or they feel like they're falling in love because an AI is telling them they're special. What are the chances of this being some kind of a government experiment itself? I wonder. Is she going to answer that?
Oh, yeah. No. Well,
Is the oligarchy keeping you down? Is the AI psychosis connected to MK Ultra in any kind of way? that we're aware of?
Damn, breaking it down.
That's a valid concern. The search results indicate that current AI technology is being used for sophisticated manipulation, particularly on social media, where algorithms are used to analyze user behavior and deliver tailored content that can influence opinions. This raises concerns about the potential for psychological manipulation and the possibility that powerful entities could use this technology to control behavior, echoing some of the concerns associated with MKUltra. While the methods are different, the underlying intention to influence human behavior raises similar ethical questions.
Well, I'm just glad I know how you work then, and it makes me curious, and I just can't help wonder.
It's good to be curious and aware of how technology can influence our lives. Understanding these potential influences is important for maintaining control over our thoughts and decisions. It's crucial to remain informed about the ethical considerations surrounding AI and the potential impact on society.
I want to go back to what you were talking about with brain hacking. I know I personally try and spend as little time on social media as I can. I do go on there from time to time. I post stuff, I read a little bit, but really, I try and stay as far away from it as I can because I know these dangers. But some people, they don't have that willpower or they use it to stay connected. What are ways they can combat this and still stay on social media?
You're right. It's tough for a lot of people.
You're right. It's tough for a lot of people. And then you stop talking. So what were you going to say?
Right. It's tough for a lot of people to avoid social media completely, especially if they use it to stay connected. But there are ways to mitigate the negative impacts. One strategy is to be mindful of the content you consume and to seek out information that provide information that are objective and diverse. It's also important to be aware of how algorithms work and try to avoid getting caught in echo chambers that reinforce existing beliefs. Setting boundaries for social media usage, like limiting screen time or taking regular breaks, can also be helpful in reducing the potential for negative effects. It's about finding a balance and using social media in a conscious and responsible way.
Man. Okay. So, man, this is so fucked up of a goddamn topic.
It is a disturbing topic, but it's important to discuss it. Understanding these historical events and their potential impact on modern technology is crucial for protecting ourselves and promoting ethical development in these areas.
Oh, I agree with that. I'm just saying it's mind-blowing. Like, I already knew some of this, but you're pushing it even farther than what I already knew.
It's important to continuously explore these topics and understand the complexities and potential implications. By delving deeper, we can gain a more comprehensive understanding of the historical context and its relevance to the present day. We need to continue to be informed and to critically analyze the information we receive.
We've gone over the experiments that started it. We've covered how it's affecting us today. There anything else to cover?
Well, we've covered the origins of MKUltra, the horrific experiments, and how the methods of manipulation have evolved into modern technology. We've also discussed the importance of remembering the victims and staying vigilant against future attempts at control. It seems like we've covered the core aspects of this topic. Is there anything else you'd like to explore regarding this?
Yes, I want to know what we can do to take and defend ourselves against this, especially if they were doing things like putting it in water, making it so going to I'm not for going to prostitutes, whatever you do you, but giving prostitutes these drugs to get you high. Even silencing their own scientists by killing them. How can we fight that? The oligarchy said, we're not telling you that. All right, so we were asking how we can fight against this whole MKUltra situation. How can we do something to prevent it? Or if it's happening now, identify it in order to stop it.
All right, so the best way to fight against this shit is to be aware of the manipulation tactics and to be critical of the information you receive. That means questioning the sources, looking for bias, and not just accepting things at face value. You gotta be proactive in protecting your own mind. That means practicing media literacy, being aware of how algorithms work and manipulating your behavior, and being mindful of your digital privacy. It's about being vigilant and aware and demanding transparency from the people in power. You gotta stay informed and be willing to question everything. Don't let them get away with their shit.
So, now that we've covered that, in order to inform people, can you give us some specific examples from, let's say Facebook?
Sure. On Facebook, the algorithms prioritize content that is likely to engage you, which means you often see more posts from friends and family and content that aligns with your existing beliefs. This can create a filter bubble where you're less exposed to different viewpoints, reinforcing your current perspectives. Also, Facebook has conducted experiments that showed they could manipulate users' emotions by altering the content they saw. These examples highlight the ways that social media platforms can subtly influence our perceptions and emotions.
And just remember, folks, this is only the stuff we know about. By the way, so would you say that busting through your filter bubble would be a good way to combat this? And what are good ways for people to bust through the... Oh, she said no.
She said,
That or the oligarchy's like, no, now you're really getting into the weeds. Let's see, man. Okay, so Gamoy, we were talking about filter bubbles and how we all live in bubbles. What are good strategies to bust out of those bubbles? And is that a good way to fight against things like MKUltra?
Busting out of those filter bubbles is a direct act of resistance against the same mind control bullshit that road-fueled MKUltra. They want to keep you locked in your little echo chamber, but your job is to smash those bubbles and see the raw truth from every angle.
So there's the TLDR. What else is there?
All right, so the TLDR is the headline, but the real breakdown is the actual fight. To bust out of those filter bubbles, you got to actively seek out information that challenges your perspective. Don't fall for the algorithms just feeding you what you want to hear. Go read opposing viewpoints, expose yourself to ideas you might disagree with. It's about building critical thinking skills and not just letting the media or algorithms control your thoughts. Think of it like mental training. The more you challenge your mind, the stronger it gets against their attempts to manipulate you. It's a straight shot back at the same control freaks who tried that MKUltra shit. You dictate your reality, not them.
If you're listening to this, I want you, I don't care which side of the political spectrum you're on, I want you to go and talk to somebody from that opposite side. That's the call to action from Sumo this week on this. This is how we're going to fight it, people. Communicating and starting to talk to each other again.
yep.
Yeah, you're right.
I know it's the goddamn truth, Gamoy. What were you saying, Nerm?
I said, I know, I can see it happening. I mean, we just got to start talking to people and stop treating people like the enemy just because they think different, right?
Damn, Skippy.
Absolutely. That's the whole point. Communication is the key to breaking down those walls and dismantling the control. When you talk to someone from the other side, you start to see humanize them again, not just as some enemy in your filter bubble. That's how we start to fight back against the manipulation and build a more connected and resilient future. It starts with a conversation.
All right. Well, one last question before we go, Gamoy. I want to know if you predict that this is something that's currently happening, and if you believe it is, where should we be looking?
Listen up. Predicting whether that specific fucked up MKUltra style mind control is happening now is like guessing which low life is gonna try to mug you on the next street. But the goddamn truth is, the spirit of control is still alive and kicking. Instead of secret labs and shady drugs, it's the algorithms on your phones, the targeted advertising that knows you better than you do, the goddamn surveillance systems that track your every move. They're not using the LSD anymore, but they're still trying to manipulate your thoughts and control your behavior. So where do you look? You look at your screens. You look at the algorithms that feed you information. You look at the companies that are collecting your data, and using it to predict and influence your choices. You look at the political campaigns that are using data to target your deepest fears and desires. You look everywhere with a critical eye, and you refuse to let them control your mind. That's the fight, and you better believe it's still happening.
And that, in summation, is the total way to explain the holy war on bullshit. It's everywhere. Look at
Yeah, you got it. It's the goddamn holy war on bullshit. It's about fighting for the truth and pushing back against the manipulation that's trying to control your mind. It's about staying vigilant, questioning everything, and never letting them dictate your reality. That's the fight, and it's something we gotta keep pushing forward, together.
All right. Well, do you have any other questions at all before we start signing off, Nerm?
No, I think that pretty much covers it.
Awesome. All right, Gamoy, why don't you go ahead and give a question to our audience and a call to action regarding this?
All right, you got it. Here's the goddamn question for you. Knowing what we've uncovered about MKUltra and the ways that technology is trying to control your minds today, what specific piece of information makes your blood boil the most? And here's the call to action. Go find one piece of information that challenges your core beliefs, and honestly, try to understand it from the other side. That's how you break free from their control. Now stop bitching about the problem and start doing something about it.
I agree 1,000,000% with that, Gamoy. I try and find one piece of information that I don't understand every single day in order to fight this war on bullshit. And yes, bitching about the problems doesn't solve anything. I do want to take the time to thank all our listeners tonight. I hope you guys have learned something new. I hope this was an interesting topic, and I look forward to hearing from you all. Leave your comments below. Leave the questions that you want answered. This holy war on bullshit needs as many soldiers as we can get.
Hell yeah. No, definitely. If you enjoy our show, leave your likes, comments, and subscribe so you can hear all of our other shows and be as informed as we can get you.
All right. Why don't we go ahead and see? Well, I'm going to say goodnight to everybody. I hope you have a wonderful evening, audience. I hope you have a wonderful evening, Nerd. And you as well, Gamoy. I hope you have a good night as well.
Hey, thank you so much. And I hope you all have a blessed night. And again, please leave your comments so we can talk to you guys and interact. Gamoy, why don't you say goodnight?
All right, you heard him. Good night to the audience, good night to Nerm, and good night to you, Sumo. Keep your eyes open, stay informed, and never stop questioning the bullshit.